Good
Okay.
morning to everyone. Before I hand over the stage to Harshul and Krish, uh, it's a fantastic morning to see that digital marketing has got us more than 1,000 registrations. And 450 have joined and more are coming in. Before we get on to the exciting new normal called digital marketing, which is going to be hosted by a young dynamic Harshul Savla. Just wanted to remind our members and participants saying that we have also equally dynamic personality at 4 p.m. this evening. We have a webinar with Mr. Irfan Razak, who's the MD CEO of Prestige Estates from Bangalore. He's also the past president of Credai. He's a visionary and icon, and he has uh, granted his time at 4 p.m. So please log on at 4 p.m. and enjoy his wisdom. Handing over the mic to Harshul. Thank you. Bye. All the best.
Thank you, Preetham. I think clearly digital is the new normal in marketing. The way we conventionally thought of marketing real estate was booking a jacket on one of the leading magazines, being over there, launching with having more than 1,000 people, 1,000 channel partners. And I think with all these new norms about social distancing, and it's going to leave a psychological mark on people, whether in future having that kind of crowd and people being comfortable is going to be a question. Conventional marketing was also about being there on the hoardings, on the newspapers. Now, take today's example of this webinar. Merely through using digital tools of WhatsApp and Facebook and other social media options, we have more than 1,000 registrations. That itself signifies that this is going to be the new normal in the days to come. Brand creations today are possible in 6 months, which earlier took 60 years. And the destruction equally is fast. So it's a double-edged sword. We are fortunate to have with us Krish. Krish is a technical wizard and a double engineer by qualification. He's also a faculty at the Times of India School of Digital Marketing and the IIDE. And he runs his own digital marketing agency, and he's mentored more than 1,000 startups. The stage is open to you, Krish. We all are very eager to know about the universe of digital marketing.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Harshul. Wishing everyone a very good morning. Hope COVID is treating you well. So I'm going to start with digital marketing being the new normal. So as we all know that there are testing times ahead, the market sentiments are low, consumer confidence is low. So here together, what we really need to do is we need to find opportunity in adversity. So having said that, let's go ahead to understand what is the universe of digital. When we understand the universe of digital, we've got a lot of different avenues in what we can actually look at our platforms. We start off with Facebook, we start off with Instagram, Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's Google, and there are different affiliates as well. And now for real estate, what is really, really important for us is also Pinterest. When you look at Facebook as a visual communication platform, it is completely communicating visuals, the kind of messaging that we want to convey. When we look at Instagram, it is purely visual and pictorial communication where we want to try and communicate an experience. When we look at Twitter for that matter, it is a platform where we need to communicate conversation. Now, Pinterest has become a new thing. I mean, it's been there for a while, but it's suddenly picked up a lot of interest. What the beauty of Pinterest is that it's an aspirational platform. So what is Pinterest? It is a global leader. It is a global lookbook of the world where you can go and see references. You can go and see anything of that sort. Then we come to Google. Now, Google is very, very important to us because our entire universe rotates around Google. Now, Google, the way we communicate with Google is slightly different. Google is mainly to cater to the intent of the user. What do we mean by the intent of the user? So this is where I'm going to come up with an example that I used to say a lot of times. So when you go to Colaba Causeway to shop, your intent is mainly to shop. The point is, when you go to Colaba Causeway, hypothetically, you will most likely stop your car outside Mondi's, and the first shop that you'll probably be attending would be the first stall right outside Mondi's. Now, the thing is, the reason why you'll end up going to that shop first is because not for any other reason, but because it's sequentially first and it catered to your intent first. The shop that you're likely to go to is the last shop in Colaba Causeway. What does that typically mean? That my intent to come was to shop, and the last likely shop that I was likely to go to was the end of the lane. So this phenomena that I've explained to you is nothing but the concept of SEO. When we go to Google and we search for an intent, whether it's buying a particular property, whether it is searching for a particular property, the intent is on generic and intent-based keywords. Then typically what happens is, basis our optimization, what comes out first or what comes up first, we're likely to click on that. So that is essentially Google for you. Then we come to the next channel of the universe, that is affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is very, very important and is picked up in these days. Now, for those of you who don't understand what affiliate marketing is, it's like nowadays what we see is we have different avenues. For example, we've got InShots, Times of India, Money Control app. You've got a lot of games. You've got a lot of advertising networks. These networks are tied up with lot of applications and lot of different websites. So basis on intent, basis on audience, and basis on granular targeting, you're able to display these ads to a lot of people. So that's typically the universe of digital. Now, having said that, we're right now in the COVID times, and now we have kind of understood that there are going to be testing times ahead. So what typically the school of thought is that we need to first understand the difference between traditional marketing and digital marketing. So when we look at traditional marketing, our avenues are typically radio, television, print, billboards, and newspapers. When we look at digital, we've already discussed the various platforms. So in traditional marketing, because of the lockdown and because of the uncertainty of times ahead, we're bound to show, we're kind of almost certain that for the next couple of months, these avenues are kind of going to give us very low returns. And if you look at it, the monsoons are also approaching in July. So anyways, there is a rule in monsoons that hoardings do not do really well. And right now, even newspapers have kind of become contactless. So there is no actual reason or the necessity to advertise in a newspaper, or if you can rather term it as saying the effectiveness of advertising in the newspaper is going to become very, very low. So now let's understand the difference between traditional and digital marketing. In traditional marketing, there are blanket costs involved. There is no tangible effectiveness, and we are typically paying for eyeballs. But given the typical conditions, what we're actually facing, we're almost certain that these eyeballs are bound to reduce. So the thing is, that questions us is that when these testing times, when we relook at our marketing budgets, when we relook at our advertising assignments, how do we effectively kind of allocate this to certain avenues? That is a very conscious call that we need to take. When we look at the benefits of digital marketing, we can go up to very, very, very detailed granular levels of interest targeting, where we can actually get into the person's interest, their likes, their dislikes, what they do have an affinity for, what do they have a dislike for, what they like to purchase, their purchasing group, and it is very, very targeted. Now, there is a simple example. When we used to watch TV earlier in the days, sometimes today what we do think for ourselves is that wherever all those ads disappeared. The answer to that question is that the ads have not disappeared. It's just that the medium has changed. So when we used to see TV channels, for example, generic TV channels, the ads used to cater to the generic audience of that TV channel. In today's time, ads are much more personalized, ads are much more customized. So today, if you do observe your consumer pattern over the internet, whether you're looking at YouTube, whether you're looking at Facebook, whether you're looking at Instagram, whether you're looking at even probably some OTT platforms, you will see that the advertisements that you do visit, they are very, very relevant to you. And that is the actual power of digital. Now, what we also need to throw light on, coming COVID onwards, there has been a massive shift in consumer pattern. We have seen almost a 41% increase in digital consumption. Having said that, the engagement rates are much, much, much higher. When we look at WhatsApp, WhatsApp is typically our new news channel. When we look at OTT platforms like your Amazon, your Netflix, your Discovery, your ZEE5, your Voot, all of these have become your new television channels. So that gives us a lot of insight, saying that our consumption pattern has really drastically evolved. And we move on to the next phenomena, saying that if we do realize that during these times of COVID, we have seen a sharp spike increase in online gaming. When I say online gaming, I mean like finger games. Like, for example, I'm sure everyone here is playing games like Ludo, they're playing games like Tombola, they're playing, like other games. They're visiting the stock market, like control apps much more often. They're visiting InShorts app, they're visiting different things. So the consumption pattern of your phone has drastically increased. That shows that the attention span on our phone and the engagement rate has got much, much, much higher. So that gives us a ready platform for us to advertise and even shift our budgets to a more effective form of marketing. Then we move on to one thing. When we speak about our consumption patterns, it is very, very evident. It is very, very evident that the attention span of our users has become very, 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 very small. Today, if we just observe ourselves when we are just using a video on YouTube or scrolling on Facebook or even just scrolling on an app, we tend to scroll endlessly. And that's when I coined the term that in modern day era, scrolling is the new smoking. Yes, guys, let's digest that. Scrolling is the new smoking. If you understand that people have this habit of even unconsciously or subconsciously opening social media applications or video platforms of just scrolling endlessly multiple times a day. When we see this pattern, we realize that there is a very, very high interest graph in our digital consumption. When we look at effectiveness of campaign, when we're actually advertising on digital, the main advantage that we do get over traditional marketing is that we get data. Guys, we live in an era where data is the most important thing to us. So we can actually understand what the campaign is going to do. We're able to understand what is the interest level of the people, what is the engagement rate, and what people are kind of even talking about the product through sentiment analysis. So when we're advertising through engagement rates, through different parameters of data, we can actually analyze to see what's happening. In traditional, we just have to pay blanket costs. We realize that we're paying for like billboards, we're paying for eyeballs in different areas. But here, when we're looking at digital media platforms, we can actually get analytics over different platforms, and the analytics also that we get are very granular level. For example, to what platform people are using, what device people are using, and to what extent it can go to. So we can analyze engagement levels. So since we understand the difference between traditional and digital, we're going to move on further to saying that we can have certain advertising solutions and advertising strategies in what we can take for starters during this COVID time, and not only start with the COVID time, because this is going to set the premise for the next couple of years. Because now for the next couple of months, we are so habituated to using certain platforms, certain means, that we have to start adopting this piece that digital is the new normal. And guys, a convention can only become a convention if today as a community, we start embracing that together so that we can actually get the user to imbibe the shift in consumer pattern over the typical consumer patterns we've been used to. Like Harshul mentioned in the beginning, like we were used to selling jacket products, used to very typical sales experiences. But how do we evolve this into the new normal is going to be, we're going to learn certain advertising solutions. So the first things first to start off with, so we've kind of structured this as a flow, that how do we actually move forward? So the timeline of this is going to be very simple, that we start during COVID times, and how do we get over this during times to come. So the first things first that we really need to understand and digest is that we need to use digital media as an effective use of communication. This is very, 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 very important for us. When we talk about digital media as an effective means of communication, we have to spend a lot of time in doing interest levels of the consumer. What we have to do with digital media as an effective use, for example, if there is any information that is being sent out by the government, whether they're relief, whether they're finance reliefs, whether they're consumption patterns, we need to break that down, and all of us come together, need to communicate this to our users. Because at this time, the users are only seeking clarity. Guys, there's a lot of panic being spelled out in the market, and everything is just being spread through WhatsApp and blind forwards and everything, because that's the basic consumer pattern. Yes, it is effective in a certain way. Yes, it is effective in a certain way, but what we also need to understand is that to communicate to our users is very, very, very important. Whether it's the measures that we're taking, whether it is the current situation of our project, whether it is the way to go forward, if there is any communication from any private bodies or any private bodies that is coming together as an association, that has to be come across to the users, because all users are seeking at this point is nothing but pure clarity. So the first things first, we start off this COVID times with effective means of communication, and we can communicate. Now, what we need to do is we need to understand this whole piece of communicating very well. We move on to the next topic, that perception versus reception. I guess some of the previous speakers in this week that we were fortunate to hear out, they did touch upon these topics in brief, saying that when we create this perception versus reception, there is always this dilemma for developers. Now, what we need to understand, and which is a very, very known fact, that the real estate industry, guys, let's digest this fact, that we inherently employ 250 subsidiary industries. Yes, guys, that's right. This is a known fact that the real estate industry contributes employment to 250 ancillary industries, which is a very, very large number that we need to understand. A majority of this could be skilled labor and unskilled labor and other different services. So the whole point is that when we are creating digital media, what we can use this time is to consolidate as a group level, to open our past projects, understand the effectiveness, what's actually worked for us, who have been our loyal customers, not at a retail level, maybe more at a commercial level, who have been our loyal vendors, what we're trying to consolidate and what we're trying to communicate. Maybe this time that we are trying to relocate our strategies, we have the opportunity of hitting the reset button. Yes, guys, the keyword here being hitting the reset button. So if you see whatever's happened over the last 3 years is kind of going to get wiped out from the consumer sentiment point of view over the next couple of months, because this time is going to overtake us. So what we typically do now is going to last for at least a 2-year horizon in terms of the short term. So yes, when we speak about perception versus reception, it's very important for us to consolidate as a group level and change the perception of the users of developers and make them understand and come out transparent. Yes, guys, the word is transparent, to talk to our previous customers, consolidate at a group level, and even break the myth of the industry to tell the real story what's happening. For instance, if there's any finance reliefs, if there's any moratoriums, if there is any bank reliefs, if there's any private sector bank, public sector bank, if there is anything of that sort, to explain to them the real story, that developers may not always be sitting on so much cash. And that is the preconceived notion that we've also received from our viewers today, saying that this is something that we're trying to do. So the main point is to break perception and reception. So typically what does this mean is, how do we want to be perceived and how are we actually being received at this moment? So that gap is typically always a very big gap that we do face, and we're trying to break that. So using effective ways of communication and using current great strategies by being very transparent brings us to the next point of the main thing, that is building trust. And when we look at building trust, the keyword being here, finding opportunity, that we started speaking with, finding opportunity in adversity. How do we build trust with the users? By being very, very transparent with the users. When we speak about construction updates, for example, we all know that certain projects in completion phase or in launch phase have been kind of deferred or will be deferred. So when we actually consolidate at a group level, when we understand what it is, if there is any sort of deferment, let's use this time and digital media to kind of bring this out to our customers, because all our customers is seeking is clarity. When we are completely clear and giving that level of comfort, that is going to be the first seed of typically how we're going to start building trust, how we're going to start evolving and changing the consumer pattern. Yes, guys, we do understand consumer confidence is less, the market sentiment is low, but we do need to understand that at some point of given time, living in cities like Mumbai, real estate is going to become an essential. So yes, we do understand it's going to be at the bottom of the level, but people need to feel confidence enough to invest with the developers. I think our colleagues even spoke about this in the last couple of sessions, that how do we get them to actually invest with us? What is the right technique and what is the right trust and the right timing in order to bridge this gap? So guys, building trust is very, very important. Once we've got this entire momentum going, we come on to the next topic that we want to discuss, which has been the common topic for all of us. That means our typical sales strategy. Yes, we do understand. Let's not push the dust under the carpet, but let's understand very clearly that for the next 6 to 8 months, yes, definitely our sales is going to be low. There's no discovery in that. But what sales strategy should we use over the next couple of months to actually consolidate that and to try and build upon that? So we've used certain techniques in order to do that. So the first thing is to stay relevant. Now, guys, let me just call back to the previous concept that we just discussed. When we're looking at traditional marketing, when we're investing in bumper ads on the newspaper or front ads, when we're looking at billboard ads, when we're looking at print ads, the entire campaign objective is primarily eyeballs. Coming back to that, we've already realized that it's very, very difficult to measure the effectiveness of eyeballs because it's a straight blanket cost. But when we're looking at digital, towards probably once we've consolidated, the trust is starting to be built, the communication is becoming very, very effective. When we're writing a lot of information around COVID, the next objective is primarily to stay relevant. So just certain strategies that we've discussed to stay relevant, which we even typically use for our clients, is that this is not an imposing piece, but it could be a strategy that, today a lot of us are part of very, very big groups as well. And even the smaller projects, even the smaller developers, even mid-sized developers, we all do some sort of CSR in some sort of way. So because we do employ almost 250 employees, so maybe, certain content to start off with, how we are kind of putting up with our vendors, because, these are the main conceptions that people are doing. How are we putting up with our vendors? What are the micro initiatives that we're taking with our construction companies? Are we providing them food, water? So these are just some things, which builds consumer trust. The next point is to stay relevant. So because you're riding on the wave of COVID, yes, there is some content to push out there. The next thing is to stay relevant, because the entire objective of this whole piece is to garner eyeballs. Yes, we may not get that kind of engagement rate because right now it's not a bare essential, but towards the end of lockdown, when positivity is being spread, there will be more engagement. So that is the time we actually plant our seed in the consumer's mind that we need to be relevant. And right now, the seeds that we plant at this stage is going to last at least for the next 2-year horizon, where we're speaking about upcoming projects, whether it's in different asset classes. We're looking at commercials. Like I think our colleagues did mention that, when we're looking at commercials, there are already, I hear from colleagues and peers, there are already strategies to kind of break, on the rental side, to make offices into smaller units. So that because if kind of people will be downsizing to smaller units, that makes it easily consumable. So how are these effective strategies being communicated? And the keyword here being relevant to our audience in these tough times, for the times forward, is very, very important for us. So these ideas and these strategies that we will take, the main thing is to stay relevant, and it's to garner eyeballs over different mediums. Now, today, when we discuss the different mediums, yes, we've already discussed this, that when we're scrolling on YouTube, if there is like short format or snackable content, if today we're kind of doing influencer tie-ups, like today, influencers is also kind of evolved, like even celebrities. I think recently what we did see is Amitabh Bachchan and all these big actors, they did come across with a short film, with a single camera approach, trying to give messages shooting from home. So these are the new strategies that modern day digital companies and brands are using to stay ahead of its time. And the main strategy is to stay relevant. So when we're using these strategies, how do we stay relevant when we're looking at different consumer patterns? And the keyword is when people are inherently just scrolling so many times and so many times a day, when you're just looking at messages all the time, it's very, very important for us to plant the seed at the right time. This brings us to the next point. When we're looking at granular level of advertising, we can actually show ads to very, very specific income groups, very specific regional groups. We can even go hyperlocal to even advertising in a particular street. Yes, in certain asset classes, we do understand that commercial advertising, even residential advertising, does become territorial in nature. For example, we've heard this a lot in the past, that colleagues have mentioned that people in Thane, for example, don't necessarily want to move out of Thane. People in Kalyan don't necessarily want to move out of Kalyan. People in certain areas don't really want to move out of there, even though they're selling, better opportunities. So yes, the targeting can be even at a very hyper-local level. It can be at a very interest level, on income levels, on different levels, and we can even cross-relate and co-target this. What we did learn unrelated in another industry is that coming back to different avenues like affiliate marketing and programmatic, because now there's a lot of infused use of artificial intelligence and data. What typically has happened is there are a lot of correlating patterns. And yes, when we move into a more advanced stage of advertising, we've also realized a couple of things, that there have been certain case studies where they've even found a correlation between an affinity group, that people who like chocolate are higher likely to consume fish. So when this fish company started advertising to chocolate lovers, their sales actually went exponential. So when you use certain different artificial intelligence algorithms, when you use correlation patterns on an advanced level, you're able to plant seeds in the consumer's mind to even probably, using different strategies, even track down who exactly pre-COVID wanted to actually buy a flat, or looking for the intent to buy the flat, or even planting the seed of buying a new home, so that post-lockdown, that consumer confidence comes back. Coming back to this, we all are aware of this, is that our sales funnel stages. The first thing, it starts from awareness to interest to consideration to intent to evaluation and to purchase. So when we look at awareness, it's very, very important for us to plant seeds, and that's the main thing of staying relevant today. By planting seeds of being relevant today, it spreads awareness, and it kind of tickles the funny bone to start garnering certain interest. Only when the interest starts getting garnered does it run into the funnel of getting consideration. And guys, what we're trying to understand from digital strategies is that if you see the top 4 layers, we're trying to maximize the use of digital to effectively use this to kind of digitize the top 4 processes. And at the end of it, I'm going to show you something really cool, what an organization just launched a couple of nights back, and we're happy that it was in coincidence so that we can actually look at it. So that'll be really interesting. But when we look at our sales strategy, or our sales funnel rather, awareness, interest, consideration, and intent. So by staying relevant, we start understanding what the awareness that we can actually typically spread. And when we understand strategies of posting positive content on awareness, on COVID, on communication, building trust, on transparencies, even what breaking the myth, what even NBFCs have to offer. I know a lot of our developers here even have NBFC arms, and even facility management arms. So how do we consolidate all of that and start seeing what initiatives we're taking at a group to garner that kind of awareness and interest, and eventually trickle down the consideration funnel? Then we're also looking at what we did discuss, the different avenues to advertise. If we just retouch upon this, when we look at more conversational content, we look at Twitter. When we look at more professional and B2B and more commercial content, we look at LinkedIn. We look at Google to search for pure intent, short snackable videos, even long format, even short format, YouTube for unskippable ads. So guys, I want to speak about one really cool YouTube campaign that we did come across last year, what Uber actually did. This is unrelated to our industry, but just to tell you the kind of thought. So I'm sure all of you guys remember this case study whenever we clicked on YouTube, there was this case study about going out for Uber. So what Uber did was they created 100 such ads. What Uber did was they created 100 such ads and they started placing them really well. Now let me give you an intent being placed. So what they did is the Uber's research team understood that the highest views, probably in even 8 million not views, was a simple random nursery rhyme for children on the lines of Baba Black Sheep, or one of the common Indian ones that we do have. So they did realize that they were getting 10 million views and only counting. So what Uber did typically is they created a view where a small 30-second adder where a father is actually taking a child in an Uber, and the child is saying that I want to go out to play. And that ad, then the father says, okay, I will take you out to play, with the small connotation of, like children should go out to play and don't leave children at home. And that was the same visual communication that they used, and they placed this ad as an unskippable ad before this nursery rhyme. So just understand the psychology of the user, that before, while just visiting a nursery rhyme to probably show their child, this ad shows between a father and a child, and another ad shows of a mother and a child. So the placement of such things is very, very relevant. Now, this kind of placements and this kind of targeting we can get and garner through digital placement, specifically through YouTube. So using these effective ways of communication, these are our different avenues to advertise. Coming back to affiliate market, we even have different applications like InShots. We have news channels, the stock market app. We have different applications. So when we're doing all of these things, we can start advertising to the relevant audience. These are the different avenues. Then we come to the last piece before we continue, is that the key takeout here is that after all this, what we do need to spread as a strategy is positivity. Yes, this is riding on the consumer sentiment right now. There is a lot of negativity and there is a lot of apprehensions that we are kind of dealing with. So positivity is very, very important, which will start setting the premise for the next couple of years until the consumer confidence comes back. Then we come on to one of the main topics. What we actually want to discuss here is that for real estate, what we typically need to do is we need to sell experiences. And when we're trying to sell experiences, we have touched upon the topic of how we use effective use of modern day technology, effective use of digital, and how we can actually digitize this entire ecosystem. I think one of the speakers yesterday, Mr. Subbu, he spoke about, how globally even there is going to be a, evolution in consumer trend, where even going forward, even design trends, even design meetings and visual meetings over architects, over design review meetings, even on the design front, they are going to happen more virtually to save, not only just because of the contactless piece of the meeting, but to save time and to save a lot of review processes that can even happen, across the globe. So the whole point is we're going to touch upon how selling experiences is very important. And even we as an organization, how we're trying to endorse that to all our clients and what effective means we're trying to take. So when we look at technology, we're trying to use technology to its doorstep. Now, guys, I want to explain to you one thing. I think the last couple of weeks, we all saw this whole phenomena of this whole Google Lens. When we were actually at home, we clicked a button on our smartphones, and around us, whatever was present, we actually saw like animals, like say a tiger, a lion, and all of these typical things lying in our bedroom. Yes, it was engaging. Yes, it was fun. Now, we built a similar prototype sometime in September, trying to understand what it could be effectively used for the real estate industry and how we could actually cater to different stakeholders, whether it's architects, whether it's consumers, whether it's the different patterns of consumers, the buyer, even when it's children looking for amenities, even for brokers who are looking for the configurations, using this entire augmented reality experience through a simple website. Through a simple website, we can integrate a button where the entire 3D floor plan that we do see in projects, the entire 3D thing that we see in sales offices comes onto your doorstep into a website without any advanced technology. We can actually play with it, we can extrude it, and even see how we can interact with the exteriors of the project. And depending upon different asset classes, whether it's a row house to see the floor plan, whether it is to see the township, to see the community plan, to see even if it's launched. Because typically what builders are facing a big challenges right now when we're launching, to sell an entire experience using just a form of a brochure and certain renders is becoming more difficult. So users want to see a lot more that. So when we actually scroll back to our sales strategy or our sales funnel, we can see that awareness, interest, and consideration and intent can be actually seeded using these augmented reality experiences. When we can actually bring that to the doorstep, we can interact with this entire piece all with a button, exactly the same interface how Google had launched that animal experience. And we can do that over cross devices. We can do this with a lot of interactivity. We can even have specific targets to that. So this kind of garners interest in the project, and this can become a new normal. When we want to sell elevation, we can even have real photography of people actually visiting this. We can also eventually create applications. Now, see, the thing is that when we were discussing this over various forums, what we do believe as the future of real estate that we do understand is definitely, maybe not now, but in the next couple of years, that consumers even want customizing of interiors. And we see that as the next big industry about, within the parameters provided by the builder to create the experience of building a home. So using even virtual reality headsets, we can even customize the entire home given by preset packages. So when the user is actually coming across, you can even have that experience of configuring and building your new home using these technology experiences. So the entire piece can come right at a doorstep. And even eventually what typically happens is we have seen that augmented reality can become the next big thing. and a lot of stakeholders on the technology front, whether it's Apple, Google, and even hardware support, is providing a lot of support on that front to kind of enhance experiences graphically, which we can kind of bring the entire experience to home. Now, guys, I'm not saying that's going to replicate a touch and feel experience, but when we discussed, I think even different communications and top level professionals are even saying that their counterparts globally are saying that the first 4 parts are trying to be automated digitally, where only the closure and the final interest graph to just physically see can be replicated only by the final stage of even going to the property. But to sell the entire experience, whether it's the amenities, whether it's the configuration plans, whether it's the height, whether it's the material use, and even the construction updates can be done using augmented reality. And it can be highly interactive. So guys, that's what we've spoken about technology. And before we conclude today's meeting, I hope this was really helpful for you guys. I just want to throw light upon one thing, that fortunately 2 days back, we did see a case study by another industry, which is not in real estate. It's actually in the automobile sector, and that is luxury car segment. Now, to a certain extent, the consumption of buying a car is very similar to the consumption of buying a flat in a certain interest levels and the level of doing that with the whole touch and feel experience. So we just want to see how BMW as a brand has already taken the initiative to try and automate or try and digitize the first couple of processes in our sales funnel and our efforts towards it. So I'm just going to play this case study for us to watch.
I think, Krish, we can't see the video.
Okay.
Or maybe we should just start the questions. Is this the last bit you had?
Krish,
Yes, I'll just try and share the video.
I'm so sorry, Krish, you will have to share the screen again.
Yeah.
And put your browser where YouTube is playing to the share screen one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, great. This looks great. I think, Krish, you could also explain while this is playing.
Sure.
Rest assured, as you wait for your BMW, we make sure it goes through a thorough sanitation process. And only then does it make its way to you. On delivery, all documents are handed over in a sanitized envelope. At BMW, we are committed to bringing you joy no matter where you are. We hope to see you behind the wheel soon. BMW contactless experience.
Okay, so guys, if you see, that's exactly what BMW did, and they released it not more than 6 to 7 days back. So typically what's happening is that companies have already started taking these initiatives. And if you see, there were a lot of similarities from this case study that we can actually kind of adopt to real estate, whether it is customizing the configuration using augmented reality to garner that touch and feel experience to a certain level of customization, and even eventually kind of completing the ecosystem. And for the final piece, you know, we can actually get on Zoom calls and then tell them just for the last meeting to come to our site. Now, guys, this whole process is slightly far-fetched, and for this to become a new nominal is going to take some time to become a new convention in the Indian market in order for the digital consumers to actually garner that practice of doing that. But today, as a community, if we come together and we start using these kind of practices to create this kind of convention, digital has and will become the new normal. So guys, that's it from my side. I think now we can start with some question and answers.
Yeah, great. So before we start with the questions, a quick reminder to all the viewers, we have another webinar at 4 o'clock today. A very prominent developer from Bangalore South, Irfan Razakji, would be taking the session. We will be sending you the registration details. Please do register and watch that. Krish, quickly coming to the questions, while I quickly browse through the screen, I mean, almost every alternate guy, and being cash strapped is a stark reality of this industry. What are the economical options, or something which is, something which small scale, medium developers could also do, and which could yield quicker results? Because every money is worth gold today.
That's a very, very valid point, Harshul. And that's why we started off with this entire piece of moving advertising budgets from traditional to digital. Now, what happens with digital is that you do not have to, allocate large chunks of capital upfront. It can be staggered. Now, when I say staggered, we're looking at almost even probably 40 to 50% of your traditional media budget, which can be done to digital. Even when you run it as a pilot, you can even see the effective measures of it. You can verify and see the different qualifications of lead. You can see the different avenues, what's working, what's not working, the timing, like using automated strategies, you can even time the market very well. So coming back to the money's point of view, this is trying to break the myth here that digital will definitely work out to be much, much cheaper in terms of cost effectiveness. It is not as expensive as traditional. The different avenues that are there can be much, much more effective. So we can even probably spend 30 to 40 or even 50% of our traditional media budget. So that can actually be a starter to actually plant the seeds in garnering eyeballs, because our entire intent is to buy on impressions, buying media on impressions. So we can actually see how the funnel actually plays through. So yeah.
Okay, Krish, we have a lot of our sales team members on the call as well. And, we have been doing sales in a particular manner, being on site, having a lot of interactions, physically being present. And with the way situation is panning out, how could digital marketing be used as a tool to enhance the customer experience, which our sales team resources could also be using?
That's a fantastic point. So we already kind of touched upon how augmented reality can be brought to doorsteps using phones. We can even create similar enhanced experiences now using different virtual reality products, using 3D brochures, 3D print boxes, using even different augmented reality strategies, using even probably iPads and VR glasses to even come to the consumer's house or even in consumer's office, where demos can actually be created there in terms of creating this kind of information to them. So the entire touch and feel experience is kind of brought to the customer's doorstep, where we can even see the levels of the construction updates, to probably even have certain, footage where to see the entire plot area, maybe even a little 3D interactive map where we can see that these are the key areas upon where we need to, all the key areas of while we're buying a house, whether it's a school, college, hospital, station, work, airport. So all of these things can actually be brought to your doorstep using different means and technologies, where salespeople can actually take these experiences to people's houses, where the entire process could be much more tangible and one-on-one, where this experience can be bridged up using digital strategies.
So there's a common, misconception or, thought process with us developers that, digital marketing is more for affordable housing projects. And, as you would know, the Mumbai metropolitan projects are slightly on the luxury end. And we always think of digital marketing as the sales portal you upload. And,
Sorry, could you just repeat the last line? Your voice broke.
Yeah. So I'm saying we always think of digital marketing as something effective for a ticket size of 1 crore and below. How could the luxury projects of MMR Mumbai utilize this to enhance their sales?
That's a very valid question, and in our efforts over the last few years, we've been trying to explain this to top houses as well. Just because you change the format of advertising does not guarantee you sales. Now let's just put ourselves and compare apples to apples. When we do a billboard ad or when we do a newspaper ad in, like, say, the front page, no sales is ever guaranteed. And the same forms of communication, whether we're using the expanse, the experience of home, whether we're using amenities, whether we're using, the beautiful expand shot or whatever marketing communication that we're doing for luxury product, we're using the same communication on digital. Now, just because we advertise on digital does not mean sales are guaranteed. Yes, what is more effective is that using data and using analytics, the entire funnel can be analyzed to a very granular level to see where the consumer dropout is, who's relevant, who's not relevant, what are people talking about, where is there going to be interest graph from, and where is the interest going to be seeded from. So there is never any guarantee of sales. So that is the first myth that we need to break off. Yes, it is cheaper. Yes, it is more effective, but there is no guarantee of sales. So when you look at ticket, like lower ticket size, they're probably looking at from an angle that, probably they'll get an instant lead, maybe buying secondary homes or even holiday homes, or now even like homes which they have this rental, this new asset class, which they say that, okay, you buy a home and, we'll pay you rent and you can, use it for 12 weekends as a holiday piece. So those things are a little attractive in terms of communication. But just because the medium has changed, that does not mean that any sales have been guaranteed. So these mediums have to be used effectively to granularly target users in an effective way and bring them into our sales funnel, into our CRMs, and the final deal has to be closed by us. And a very, very important factor for us is to garner that trust, to make sure that we are the right partners for developers to actually invest money with, as opposed to the previous perception that has been running around in the market.
Okay, last one or two questions. There is a big concern about privacy issues which Facebook had paused, and that changed a lot of landscape so far as digital marketing went about, with a lot of miscommunication which is happening, and it's very difficult to ascertain what's true, what's not true, and this is something which could really backfire. So what is the solution around the legal hassles which you would anticipate in future?
Now that legal hassle is a very chicken and egg scenario, and it is a very tricky scenario that we might need to deal with together. But together as a community, if we start following best practices, now you see digital is going to become a new normal for a lot of organizations. And basically, we do anticipate, I think all of us here are from the opinion that it is going to a certain extent, become a convention. So I can only say one thing, that our entire process collaboratively can be done where we can start adhering to methods of transparency and best practices. So when that transparency and best practices comes into play, the users will be automatically used to a certain level of luxury or a level of hygiene that they're going to be seeing across communication. And even brokers are going to kind of adopt the same methods at a group level, at a builder level, at a developer level. What we could do is kind of control what auxiliary parties and surrogate parties are posting about our projects to maintain the sanctity and the sanity of the communication of the project. So that is something that we all need to do as a responsible level. But as a community, what we can do is spoil the user with thorough transparency and creating new conventions and sticking to very clear communication, and the factor here being trust, so that there is no privacy policy breach. Similarly to what RERA did to advertising in traditional, if we just follow the same practices, because it'll be very difficult for even RERA to intervene into digital avenues because it's very vast. But if we follow the same practices together as a community, I think that will automatically set the new convention. And a convention can only be set when it's portrayed and it's set by the marketers and it is accepted by the users. And that's when a lovely handshake will happen.
Last question. In this point of time, considering the situation that we are in, what should be the immediate focus, a brand campaign or a lead generation campaign? What would your pick be?
Harshul, before sir winds up, no, Krish winds up, I have a couple of questions. So,
Yes, 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 of course.
So it's very, very important, like we said, when we understood even in the talk earlier, that we definitely need to focus on brand awareness, positivity, and use this time to build trust. Even like we do understand, like even at certain levels, if say certain projects could have gone wrong or been deferred, let's communicate this and let's keep the keyword of brand awareness and let's keep the entire strategy around trust. Because using this time, trust to garner back to your consumers is very, very important, because let's be honest, ultimately the paychecks is going to be in their hand. When they start having the confidence to invest in us, all the 250 ancillary monies will also start getting uplifted throughout the ecosystem. So at a developer level, it is very important to just focus on awareness-based campaigns and the feature of building trust, which is very thoroughly important. Sales will happen, but the first seed is to build trust. So when they start garnering, like we saw in our funnel, when we start garnering even interest, when we move into consideration, we can sell them experiences which will even get them to consider, knowing that transparency is there, and that's what people are actually looking out for today.
I have two questions, Krish. Number one is that, as of now, there are lakhs of people who are involved in sales today.
Correct.
And all of them were used to the old traditional method of selling,
Right.
Ad aaya full page ka. It's just in the last 5-7 years that digital has, come in. And I don't think so even 0.5% of the total population, which is involved, the stakeholders, know great about anything about digital. So can we have, with Creda MCHI and Krish Ramani and your company,
Yes.
have a training session
Yes.
over, let's say, 7 or 10 or 12 or whatever syllabus you decide,
Yes.
where all our sales team can log into that,
Yes.
and you can train them. So that's first question I have.
Yes.
And if yes, when can we start? Can we start in 3 days, 4 days, so that I believe the lockdown will go at least till 1st of May. So can we have that? That's question number one. Question number two, that looking at a typical project now, and I'm just asking you kind of a thumb rule, how much do you think could be the cost of digital marketing towards the cost of sales? So say, for example, I have a project in Thane at 100 crores is the turnover.
Right.
What do you think could be my digital cost for it? I'm just giving a ballpark figure, a range accordingly.
So two things. Thank you so much for the interest. Yes, we can definitely together, we can work together on actually evolving our sales team to kind of adapting to new different methods. We can understand the different avenues and the entire funnel, right from posting the ad to understanding the analytics to even coming back to CRM patterns and how we can actually convert that. So that is something that we can definitely work together as a team, and our organization that we've been working with a lot of real estate clients before. We can definitely touch upon this entire sales piece and see how we can, collaborate together and work on a training fashion for there. We can even work together on the technology piece, and I can show you some product demos later about what we've actually created for different industries and how for different real estate industries, and how we've actually, kind of married the two experiences in order to garner a better and more trustworthy experience and a touch and feel experience to the consumer. Coming to the next point, what you did mention is that if I have a typical project of say a turnover of 100 crores, what is the correct budget to at least arrive on? Now guys, we all from Mindsets, we understand one thing, and I'm going to answer this question to you arithmetically and mathematically. When we're spending, say, let's take a typical marketing budget of say overall, say 5%, hypothetical figures. Say we are spending 5 crores in our entire marketing budget, which is on a very, very conservative side. Let's just take 5 crores. A lot of this budget would go towards your newspapers and billboards. Correct? So when we are looking at newspapers to billboards, let's just try and evolve our mentality of the sales team and compare apples to apples. When we are buying impressions or eyeballs worth X amount of money versus so many billboards, let's invest that same money into digital to at least match apples to apples in count of the same number of eyeballs. in the same number of eyeballs in the same list, then you will understand that digital actually works out to be much, much, much cheaper, and that will become your equilibrium of budget compared to your traditional budget. So to start off with, when obviously the marketing budgets are divided over different campaigns. So for example, let's understand one thing, that we all know that the real estate market is very festive centric. Like it starts from Sankrant, then to Gudi Parva, then to your, your different phases throughout the year, and you have different launches and different communications. So when we look at one season, if we just run a pilot of allocating all our budgets towards digital, we can actually buy the same number of impressions and the eyeballs on digital, compare apples to apples, and understand the difference in budget. Now, guys, what I want to explain is also the beauty of earned media. When you have earned media is a concept of media that you earn without actually paying for. So when we come to the relevance and quality of content and the beauty of communication, if your project is communicating the right things and it's trustworthy. For instance, if Krish Ramnani, as the founder of Togglehead, kinds of forwards this to all his people, an untargeted market who probably the developer did not even target directly, through my share has got automatic targeting through me because I've shared it as a stakeholder, and that media that you've got of the additional eyeballs that you've garnered is free of cost for you. So that becomes the additional bonus. And that's when we come to the element of trust, to the element of digital media. And guys, that is the main differentiating factor. So when you look at an equilibrium, it's very unfair right now for me to throw a figure at you. But the best way arithmetically and mathematically to explain is that when our sales team are actually, or our marketing teams are buying media on an outdoor level or on a traditional level, let's compare impressions, apples to apples, and let's invest the same in digital and then analyze the effectiveness of the same.
Thank you. So when can we start the training?
We'll work upon it.
Yes. So we'll take this lead.
After a few days, I think, because that's the most critical thing, yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you, Krish, for sharing this. We're gonna engage you for a little longer, especially how situation pans out and more on the training part. It was great having you. And once again, reminding all our viewers, do join in at 4 o'clock to listen to Irfan Razak sir and his insights. We will be sending across the registration details to you all soon. Also, it's available on your chat box. So do look in. Thank you.
Thank you, Harshul. Thank you, sir, for this lovely opportunity. Lovely, guys, to meet you. Thank you for sparing your time out. Hope to guys see you soon.
Thank you, Krish.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.